This is Meet the Movie Press. It is May the 31st, 2019. On the show this week, Bat's news update, Galaxy's Edge, open it is, plus reviews of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Ma and Rocketman, and the week's box office. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
This is Meet the Movie Press. Welcome. It's another week. It is May the 31st of 2019. My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me on social media, Instagram and Twitter at Showbiz Simon. With me, as usual, Demetri and Scott. Demetri, who are you? Where can we find you?
Hey, we're right here at Popcorn Talks Meet the Movie Press. Also changed my Twitter.
New Twitter!
Yay! New Twitter! It's my name. Go figure. How original. At Demetri Panos. That's it.
Fantastic.
Demetri Panos.
Scott, no changes from you, but who are you? Where can we find you?
No changes. WeLiveEntertainment.com. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at TheOtherScottM.
Fantastic. A lot to get through on the show, and if you are, by any chance, in the line for Galaxy's Edge and you're watching the show, I hope to God you've had a pee, because we'd seen the lines online today. Those lines to get in, first day that park has opened to the public, those lines are insane. So, me hope you poopy, because if not, you don't want to leave that line.
Today's a perfect storm of a mess over there, too.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, including that.
And we're going to talk about that Galaxy's Edge opening, obviously a big deal this week, later on in the show. First of all, though, breaking news. Bat's news this morning. Looks like Robert Pattinson is, in fact, going to be the Batman in The Batman. Obviously, there was we knew previously that it was going to be most likely Robert Pattinson. Also, we knew that Nick Holt was up for the role. Apparently, they were both doing costume fittings. News this morning breaking that it looks like close to a deal or putting pen to paper imminently is Robert Pattinson. We kind of discussed this the other week when it kind of first broke. But your thoughts on now this consolidation that it's going to be our bats.
I'm at first I was kind of against this. It seemed like a weird casting choice just because I don't feel like Robert Pattinson has a strong enough name to become this character. But at the same time, kind of thinking about it, looking at all these photos of him over the last couple of weeks, he does kind of fit the look. And I feel like for a younger version of Batman, I think he's a good fit.
But also a lot of people who played Batman over the years, or Bruce Wayne, they've been well-known actors. They've had a career, but they haven't been. I mean, when Christian Bale was cast, everyone was like, Christian Bale? Really? So I actually think that the lack of that, and actually I think George Clooney taking over Batman was actually quite distracting because he was a movie star. He was a celebrity.
Right.
So I think actually this is a good thing. To me, from you, there's lots of thoughts on this in the chat already this morning, but Demetri, from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we discussed this last week, and I'm on board. Give the guy a chance.
Yeah.
Before you're negative about him, just give him a chance, and I think he could do really well. It's great. See, I mean, it's great. We have a picture of him up over here. I think it's great for him.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna
look at him. He looks like he could fit. He can also play the Joker too.
True.
He can also play the Joker.
He has a good square jaw. You know. And the other thing it's going to be
Save
interesting
money.
is how they're going to play this Batman.
Yeah.
You know, and even equally as important, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You know, because Christian Bale played the aloof Bruce Wayne. He was great.
Yeah.
Whereas Ben Affleck, who I believe we all really enjoyed.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't have a problem with him.
Didn't have a problem with him at all. I was sad to see him go, to be quite honest.
Me too.
With
I
you.
thought he was a great Batman.
You know, he played Bruce Wayne a little bit differently.
Yep.
But yeah, it's fine. No negativity from me at all.
No, absolutely. I'm very open to this. A lot of people in the chat already talking about this. Who's in the chat there this morning? And obviously, this is great that we do the show every week, but we do it because of you guys. So really, it's a case of it. If you are not part of the show, there's no point in us doing it. So if you are ever watching this live and you do get to watch us on YouTube, do take part in the chat. People taking part this morning. Freeze Willie is in the chat. Film Nerd Jamie's in the chat. BlackRock316. Good morning. So it's official. Simon is is Batman. No, sadly not. That would be lovely money. Stella Bishop, Robert Pattinson, Batman, Connie Egan. Good morning, movie fans. I don't know about all of you, but I'm excited to see Rocketman. Jenna James, morning, guys. Just enjoyed the first episode of Netflix's Ava DuVernay's When They See Us. We'll talk about that as well next week, I think. Ricky Davila, first time back in the live chat for a while. Finally have a Friday morning off in months. Ricky, good to have you back in the chat. Pats is the most inspired choice and a great fit. He has earned the credibility over the years. Indeed, Ricky, that's something we discussed on the show last week. Kame Egan, Battinson, I dig it, and I think people need to give him a chance because he's a good actor. Animation Dude, put some respect on Justin Kroll's name, who said that Battinson was a done deal all along. Freeze Willy, I'll go with Bobby Bat and Freeze Willy. Pattinson is fantastic in The Lost City of Z. He proves to be a fine actor. We touched on this last week. There's a lot of movies that our Pats has actually done where he's really proved himself. Sure. You know, I think Lost City of Z is a movie that a lot of people didn't go and see. It's a great example of him with his acting chops. Yep. Again, I quoted The Rover recently as well, which I think is great. Really shows that he can do drama. A lot of people dismiss him because he's the Twilight guy. But I'm really looking forward to this. I really am. And I think it also increases the chance of them needing to hire strong villains for the piece. Because I think they need someone who can, you know, have that level of gravitas and bring it equally on screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just so long
just not Tom Hardy.
Just so long as it's not a lot of villains.
Yeah.
Like, give Pattinson a time to get into the role.
Yeah.
Like, let us enjoy him. I mean, I know your hero is only as good as your villain. Let's not weigh it down with villains.
No.
You know, let's give him an opportunity to be Batman and Bruce Wayne.
But it's good news. I mean, I'm certainly very pleased with it. If this is, you know, as pen being put to paper, I think it's really good. Yeah. So
I mean, it was a tough call between him and, you know, Nicholas Hoult, because I think both of them have their own like level of charm and their own charisma they could have brought to the character. I think both of them would have played the character vastly different. Yeah. So I do think Pattinson is going to do a really good job.
Animation Dude in the chat saying A24 is going to get so many people suddenly streaming Good Times to see how his chops have improved since Twilight. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I think a lot of people are going to perhaps be investigating some of these films that Robert has made over the last few years that people have kind of either overlooked or just simply not been able to access because of the issue they're smaller movies, so they don't get those wide releases that movies like Twilight do.
Yeah, and this has, if memory serves, this is probably his first big picture since Twilight. Like everything else after Twilight, he's purposely done these
smaller,
indie,
more refined.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Good choice. Okay, so that's great news this morning. That was breaking first thing as we were all having breakfast, which is nice. Yeah. So big news this week. Let's talk about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I mean, the theme park, I think that outside of the Harry Potter theme parks element that obviously Universal have developed internationally over the last sort of decade or so. This is probably the biggest deal when it comes to theme park openings for the longest time. Disney have had like Toy Story opening, Toy Story Land opening over in Florida, and even Avatar, Cars Land was another one here at California Adventure. But really, I think as far as the big deals go, this is El Bigo Dilo.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so we didn't go to the opening this week, but everybody I think couldn't move for this coverage. All local TV, national network entertainment shows, news shows were all featuring it. Regular news shows don't often feature theme park openings. No. It just simply doesn't happen. So what is it, guys? I mean, it's kind of a stupid question, but what is it, do you think, about Galaxy's Edge, not just the Star Wars franchise, that people are so psyched about? Demetri, first of all, because you're going tomorrow.
Yeah, I think part of it is, well, number one, the hype around it, right? They've been having cast member previews for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They were not allowed, even the likes of Rian Johnson and even J.J. Abrams, they were not allowed to show any pictures or take pictures. Yeah. This week was the media week. On various blogs, there were certain things about merchandise and food. And this is going to be even above, at least from what I understand, this is supposed to be the most technologically advanced amusement park in the world, meaning that most everything is interactive. There's a special app on the phone. You can interact with droids. You can interact or with writings on the wall. Apparently, Smuggler's Run, depending on how you fare in that ride, when you come off the ride, people will interact with you as like a hero, a scoundrel, a villain, first order. It's supposed to be very interactive.
It's almost like theater in a whole new way.
The people who are there, the cast members, had to not necessarily learn a language, but it has this land, this outer rim planet of Batu has its own, in a sense, language. So good morning is like rising suns. So they have certain things that you're right, it is like a live interactive theater. And as far as even the merchandising goes, a lot of it looks as if
They're doing merchandising?
Well,
You don't say.
Oh my God.
but again, it's not going to be just the regular. A lot of it will look as if it were created on that planet. That these vendors either etched themselves, or what.
Are there going to be tariffs?
There will be tariffs.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. Well, it's Disney. There's always a tariff.
Always a tariff.
Even there's always a tariff. As an annual pass holder, I know this. The other thing is, like, they've even rebranded Coca-Cola.
Yes, they have. I've been very impressed by the level of immersion that there has been with this. I mean, because like I say, we're talking about the technological advancements of the theme park and the immersion. When the Wizarding World, when Hogsmeade opened in Orlando and then it opened here, and then obviously it's been taken even further by Diagon Alley in Orlando, the level of interaction with wands, to be able to interact with windows and things like that going on, and being able to go to the wand shop and have be selected to have a particular wand, that was one level of immersion that upped the game. But these guys have really taken the lead on this, and I know some people who've been part of the development team for this, and like you say with the phones, even guys who are working on, you had to leave your phone. You weren't allowed to take your phone in with you. Right. This is right from when they were developing it, from concept through to actual construction. And any phones that were allowed in were ones that had a special sign on the back. So if you were ever, they had a special Rebel sign or another sign on the back, and that was the only one that you were allowed to use, and there were certain limitations on what you could do with it. So if anybody had a phone out that didn't have this insignia clearly on it, then that phone was removed and they were treated accordingly. Not saying they killed them. That's a little bit extreme.
You never know.
It's a possibility.
You never know.
Who knows?
Buried under Space Mountain.
So all the way along the process, the secrecy around this has been intense. And we've discussed this with movies previously as well. I think actually that builds better anticipation. And again, when you go in there tomorrow, you'll have seen this stuff this week, but it won't quite match the reality of getting to walk around Batu. By the way, Batu, if you haven't seen Bat 1,
right,
will you understand where you are?
I think I'll be okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think I'll get it, because I've never been to Bat 1. I've had Bat Guano. But no. Wait. Anyways, but they've been testing this technology for a while now. A couple of years ago, they did a Haunted Mansion loot crate type of a thing. Yeah. And it was extremely limited. It was like 150 people they allowed. Yeah. I got in. I forget how much money it was, but every other month I got shipped a box for Haunted Mansion stuff. And there was a special app on my phone which allowed me to go into the park, and I had to go free ghosts. So I got to go to the fortune teller. You get to go to certain doors, and if you have your phone, you'll hear knocks in the doors. In fact, I had a special Doom buggy in which I got on, and once it recognized my phone, I got a different audio track when I went through the ballroom scene.
Okay.
And obviously, in hindsight, I'm going, they were using this as a test, because this seems all of the technology that they're doing here in Galaxy's Edge. So it's quite amazing.
I mean, just kind of, I'm not nearly as psyched about this as
we love Star Wars, but we're not super fans.
This is something where if I go a year from now, I'll be perfectly fine. But that being said, kind of what Demetri's talking about, because Disney has this brand, and because Disney is go big or go home. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, they're not a Mickey Mouse operation.
No, they're really not a Mickey Mouse operation anymore. Ironic. No, they're a Marvel Studios Iron Man Darth Vader operation. But what I'm saying is essentially, they're going to raise the bar like they've done with visuals and their movie standards. They're going to raise the bar for theme parks.
Yeah.
And, they are, Disneyland and Disney World are the most profitable theme parks in the world.
Yeah.
So there's no surprise that there's so much hype around this. The thing that I still will never understand about this is how come they just didn't make a different park. That's the only thing that I don't understand.
And I think certainly, obviously with space limitations with land here, and this is again why Universal they're slightly restricted on what they can do and where they can build it because the land restrictions, because here it's working studios. Right. But with Disney, they do have more land available, but a little, but again, the more you increase the size of the park, the more parking you need and the more resources you need for the functionality of operating a theme park.
There is a new parking garage opening up.
Yes, there is.
Either in June or July. I wanted to ask you, because I know you do frequent Universal.
Yeah.
I've only been to Harry Potter once. I forget, is that the separate ticket to get in? So that's part of the Universal, but it's not 14 acres.
No, it's considerably smaller than the Hogsmeade that's in Universal Orlando. But again, they're restricted by land. I mean, when they wanted to build this, they actually knocked down an arena that was there in order to be able to facilitate it. In the same way that Universal in Orlando, when they wanted to expand that park, they had to knock down things like they removed the Psycho House. They moved Hard Rock, which is now on City Walk, which wasn't there previously. So they have the ability to expand their footprint in different ways. But yeah, no, it's part of the same ticket. Yeah. Everything at Universal is part of this ticket. There's not an area where you have to have a second ticket. Some events you need a second ticket for, like Halloween Horror Nights or VIP events at Harry Potter, but certainly otherwise it's one ticket.
And I think to answer your question, had Galaxy's Edge been more than just 2 rides, then it would constitute, another ticket price to go in. 14 acres is a lot there, and there is a lot to do. From what again, building your own lightsaber, from what I understand, that whole thing is supposed to be amazing. But my friend and I, who are
but that's their equivalent to the Ollivanders one shop, basically,
you go into this land, and I think they could have easily have said, Galaxy's Edge is its own park. It's going to be $100 a day if you want to go.
Well, no, I'm not even saying that they had to put it there. I'm saying that they could have developed their own park somewhere else, like somewhere else. There's plenty of areas to build around here.
Well, obviously, I mean, here they previously there was just Disneyland, and then there was Disney's California Adventure. So they did a load of that. So they could have optioned that. I think you're right. But again, I think the wait for that would have been so substantial that I think they wanted to try and get it up, out, and open as
what's interesting about
soon
this
as possible
versus Harry Potter is that even though I think that Harry Potter will go on for generations and generations, Star Wars is kind of timeless with that regard.
I agree.
Because it dates back to like fans in the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that, all to the new ones.
Yeah.
So for a little bit of a wait, I think they could have done something where it could have been more than 2 rides, and it could have been like this really amazing.
But also, the
park.
benefit of attaching it to a theme park that's already there is the fact that if you don't give the slightest fuck about Star Wars, you're not going to go to a Star Wars theme park.
But how many people of that? I mean, many people of that would not go to a Star Wars theme park? I mean, I think even people like like Ashley, for example, who really does not like Star Wars at all. Yeah, I think she would go at least once,
and that's the
benefit
of having a thing here, because it doesn't cost you any more.
No, because I think that it's a different disadvantage to something like a Disneyland. Yeah, because if someone doesn't care, they're not going to go experience. But I know that doesn't matter to Disney. Well, I'm just saying.
But again, though, that would be the same as saying somebody doesn't want to go to Cars Land. They may not have been a big fan of the movie, but they'll go to California Adventure. You know what? Guess what? 9 out of 10, they're walking down Route 66. They're going to go to Cars Land. Yeah. Even if you're a casual, not a big Star Wars fan.
But why wouldn't you do it for more money? That's like, why wouldn't you do it for more money?
Trust me. Yeah.
I know they're going to make more money. I know they're going to make
Florida, and in Florida, it is actually going to be, in a sense, its own land. I forget what it took over, whether it was Hollywood or it will be its own land, and they're about to break ground on a themed Star Wars hotel, which will be equally as interactive.
Yeah.
Where you open up your windows
And there's a
you
Jawa.
actually and there's Jawas. Yeah. So they're. I mean, I think they're doing this right.
A lot of people talking about this in the chat. Freeze Willie, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge next week. Got my reservations. Emoji face with sunglasses on. Ricky DeVilla, I can't wait to visit Galaxy's Edge, but I'm so turned off in the sense that it'll be the worst crowds going crazy on this place for the first year, and it'll probably wait until next year or 2021 to go. The queues this morning, Demetri was showing me, literally, you were having your breakfast, and you're, oh my God, I thought something seriously bad had gone wrong. And you were basically...
If I was waiting in that would be bad.
Well, you were showing me the lines.
You'll be doing that tomorrow, though.
And describing, where they were stretching back to, and it's most of the way through the park for people to get in. And even with the appointments and the timed thing, it's still huge, these lines. So, I can see why some people would be put off. I'm probably going to go at some point when out of season, when I will still have to wait a long time, but I won't have to wait perhaps as long. But one of the reasons I haven't gone to the Avatar thing in Orlando is that even though I'm not a massive Avatar fan, apparently the rides are incredible, but the waits are just too long. And I'm just going to wait for a bit. I don't need to do it right away. Ricky DeVilla saying, this is Animation Dude, all this hubbub over a theme park land that is hiding the fact that it's opening with only one of the promised attractions ready in time. Save your money and go when it's actually finished, which was going to be another point of mine, is the fact that there is only one of the main attractions open at the moment. The other one was not open for launch. The one in Orlando that they're opening in a couple of months, I believe both rides are going to be functional there for opening.
That's not what I was hearing.
No, is that
it's
not?
going to be the same
situation?
It's the same situation
Okay.
that they're going to open up with Smuggler's Run and this Rise of the Resistance.
Right. Well, if I'm wrong on that, then I'm more than happy to stand corrected on that.
But I know that they're opening later, and the whole deal about this whole land is it's really not just about the ride, although 90-minute already
it's about the experience.
It's about the experience, which will be unlike anything else.
Xeno Hour, damn, I'm late. What did I miss? Well, you gave away $1 million at the start of the show. Unfortunately, Xeno Hour. So that was really unfortunate of all the weeks to do that.
We got a fast pass to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
no
I know.
waiting.
Just front the line all day. Stay there all day. Sucks to be you, Xeno Hour. Film nerd Jamie, do not believe the hype from the trades. Robert Pattinson was in fact signed on to play Howard the Duck. Not true. Fake news. Freeze Willie, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge now, and then I'll go later also. Freeze Willie, Galaxy's Edge is fresh right now, before it's just tainted by poo, pee, and vomit. I don't think you're going to Disneyland. I think you might have bought tickets to a fetish club. Xeno Hour, let's say Animation Dude, rebranded Coca-Cola equals new plastic labels on Coke Christmas ornament bottles, which have existed for years before now. That is not entirely untrue.
No, it's not.
Animation Dude, not trying to sound too negative, just realistic. No, it's absolutely fair. Realism is really important. Xeno Hour, Simon Thompson, where's Shape of Water's Edge? A Guillermo del Toro theme park. Unfortunately, you probably couldn't take
That's
kids.
one where I can guarantee you nobody will go to.
Absolutely.
That's not entirely true.
But
He
it's
was
terrifying.
He had a theme park in LACMA.
But he
Yeah,
couldn't.
years ago,
Yeah,
which was
but I'm
great, by the way. It's awesome.
in LACMA. Like, he couldn't have his own theme park. But you guys were arguing, like, Star Wars can't have their own theme park. Who's going to go if they're not fans?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Everyone's
it's
going to
part
go.
of the
Everyone's going to
ticket.
go. But no one's
Everybody's
going
gonna
to go to. But no one would go to a theme.
One other thing,
Del
if I
Toro
may,
theme park?
is that
I love the guy, but
they've-
no.
they've done
Okay.
something that I've never seen them do, which is like for the whole month of June, you can only go in by reservation.
Yeah.
So you had to get a reservation. It's a 4-hour window. When it opens up to everybody end of June, beginning of July, it's going to be like a fast pass situation. You have to be at the park.
We need to move on from this. I
Yes.
want to do a couple more from the chat, Demetri. Animation Dude, business-wise, it may not make sense to make an entire park solely around a single IP. This is referring to your point. Star Wars has a massive fan base, but catering to multiple guests with varying interests makes more money. Westy Kid talking about, I feel Harry Potter will be rebooted one day. J.K. Rowling just brought out 4 more books. Freeze Willie, they're probably raising prices for the Disneyland
they
passes. They are, yeah. But they raise their pass every single year.
Every year.
But this is another one this year. Animation Dude, the Orlando version took over the unpopular backlot area and Streets of
Yes.
America inside of Disney's Hollywood Studios Park. Yes, it did. That's absolutely correct. So lots of people in there talking about it. Carly Egan having the last word on this. honest. I think theme parks are amazing because of the detail that goes into creating them, but it's way too expensive. It is. I take part in discussions on some of the Disney boards, and a lot of the times people are like, oh, it's too expensive. It's every child's right to go to Disney. Going to these theme parks, as amazing as they are, is nobody's right.
No.
It's a luxury that unfortunately some people can't afford. I had to wait until 1992 to go to Florida and to go to Universal and Disney for the first time. I was a late teenager at that point. I wanted to go since I was a kid, but unfortunately we weren't able to do it for various reasons. So I had to wait for it. Don't assume that these are not charities. These are businesses, and it is expensive. It's very expensive.
It's gotten. I don't understand how a family of 4 that has kids that are over 2 years old that you have to pay the regular price.
Friends of mine are coming over in the summer, and they're picking what they probably only come here for one occasion, and they are just Universal alone for 2 adults and 2 kids. It's $1,000.
Yes.
And my brother, when he and his husband and the kids come, it's like 2 adults, and now all the kids are adult prices as well. Again, you're looking at well over $1,000 to get into a theme park. It is really, really expensive, but also part of the reason it's expensive is because they are able to create things like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Star Wars and Cars Land and Marvel Land and all these other things that you are paying to get into. So it's kind of like you're paying the piper to play the tune that you want to hear. So
it's like $150.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I mean, even when I buy a ticket for myself, I'm just like, oi, it's a little bit sharp. But let's move away from Galaxy's Edge. But a lot of the people involved in Star Wars, George Lucas, obviously Mark Hamill, Billy D. Williams came out for the opening of this week as well, and so did Harrison Ford, which was great. Harrison Ford also in the news this week, saying that Indiana Jones dies with him. Sorry, Chris Pratt. He was doing this on one of the morning shows here in the US. Basically, he was asked about, would you want to hand over Indiana Jones? What's the future? And he's basically said, no, I'm Indiana Jones. When I'm gone, it's gone. What are your thoughts on that? I'm kind of okay with that.
Let's see if that actually happens.
I don't.
That's
and how much say he has in
Yes,
that, because Harrison Ford doesn't own Indiana Jones.
No.
Disney owns Indiana Jones.
True. I was like, that's the right answer.
It is the right answer.
I mean, and it's the same thing with Robert Zemeckis when he said, "Over my dead body, are they gonna reboot Back to the Future?" They're just waiting. They have
For the
death
day.
clock. Yeah. And, I wish that would be true. They're still supposed to be making one more, but nobody's getting any younger to make another Indiana Jones movie with Harrison Ford. But I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I really am. For many people, when you get into this franchise, Harrison Ford's it. And I think he just remains in your memory, and he's Indiana Jones. So why not? And I like the fact that he's possessive of it. Because some people, they
Don't care. It's
they
money.
don't
It's a
care.
check. It's a job.
Right.
Yeah. Are your thoughts on this, Scott?
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, we all wish sometimes that our beloved franchises would not be touched and that the actors who originally played the roles would just have that legacy. The truth be told is that we live in a big corporate world. And I think that either after he passes or with the right amount of money behind, I think they're going to do one. I mean, it's too popular of a brand not to.
And Disney certainly didn't buy that as part of the package deal to
Right.
go, we're just going to arrest it.
No
We're just going to send it off to an old folks home when Harrison Ford is done with the role. That's not what Disney did. Disney were like, okay, awkward conversation to be had.
You know, it was just like there was original talks, going back to your favorite franchise, the Star Wars franchise, it's very interesting because, some of the initial thoughts was when Disney was going to take this over, that it was going to be just kind of like the few fill-in movies, and then it was going to be another trilogy, and then it would be done. And now it's just like these never-ending plans of TV shows and spin-offs and everything. It's the same way, I think, with Indiana Jones. It's too valuable of a brand
for
them not to keep it going.
I only wish that Paramount would do something similar with, I don't know, Star Trek.
Yeah.
But they don't.
There's not enough money there. For Star Trek, we've talked about this too. It's like it's interesting. It has a very loyal fan base.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the box office return, it's never that great.
I'd go to a Star Trek theme park. I know it's been talked about previously,
too.
and I know there were elements of Star Trek sort of
was
in
telling me over the
Vegas,
weekend.
and there was some stuff at Universal previously. I'd be interested if they opened
go.
a Star Trek
I'd be
ride.
there.
I'd really be
Yeah,
interested in
absolutely.
that. In the chat, a lot of people saying, Freeze Willie saying, I'm 100% with Harrison Ford. I'm so glad that he said that. Film nerd Jamie, I love Pratt, and everyone seems to have forgotten how versatile he is, but he's wrong for Indy. But yeah, of course, Indy will be recast. Yeah, I think Indiana Jones movies are going to be around on this planet longer, if we survive, longer than I will be. That's what they should do. Do not try to attempt to replicate what Harrison Ford created, one of the all-time iconic cinematic characters. Absolutely. And it's a renowned brand. I think it's really true. And I'll tell you what, going back to Disney, the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland is one of my favorite theme park rides of all time.
It's a great fun ride.
Of all time. It's so good. That was one of my dreams, actually, when I was a kid. When I remember when it opened, there was lots of press about it. And it was very much a case of one day I wanted to do that ride. And I think that and Haunted Mansion, that and the Matterhorn are like three of my favorite rides at Disneyland. I love those rides. I'll queue for hours for those. Animation Dude, it's going to take Disney, Lucasfilm, failing with a solo-level flop of a rebooted Indy to learn the lesson that the character doesn't work with another actor. Film nerd Jamie, Spielberg has the power to will a film into existence, and the fact is Indy 5 took so much time to happen is telling. I feel like they're going through the motions, but no, it's over for them. I mean, I think it'd be quite interesting. Popcorn Talk in the chat. This is our guy in the booth. Thank you so much, Jeff. Would you guys be okay with a spin-off where Indy's son or long-lost relative takes over the mission? Different character, same franchise? I mean, that's an option for them, certainly. If they did want to do that,
They
yeah,
have
with
tried
Mutt.
this already.
Crystal Skull.
And also, they did the Young Indiana Jones TV show, which was popular.
Great series, by
but
the
yeah,
way. It's
Crystal
very
Skull.
underappreciated.
They kind of tried, obviously, in the Mutt character, which was Shia LaBeouf. People didn't go down particularly well, but I don't think that was necessarily because of the idea of having a spin-off. I think it was necessarily the fact that they didn't take to Shia LaBeouf's interpretation of that new character. Kame Egan,
terrible.
I'm totally good with Indy dying with Harrison. The Indiana Jones movies were great, and we won't discuss Crystal Skull, but like Scott mentioned, it is a corporate business brand that is a cash cow. It is. Pardon me, 100% I did. Didn't mean to but there. Janet James, no, like Ford said, when it goes with him. Yeah, absolutely.
It dies.
Animation
like
Dude,
to-
are they recasting Shia?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. I do not expect Shia LaBeouf will be back.
No.
Yeah, you can't come out and slam the movie that
Stay in,
and the
stay
man
in,
that gave
wherever
you a
you
job.
are. Yeah,
Right.
it's the opposite of, yeah.
He could come back with the paper bag over his head like for a while.
The unknown comic.
Yeah.
We've got 35 minutes left on the show, but guys, I just wanted to, people who are new to the show and don't know who you are. First of all, Demetri, who are you? Where can we find you on social media,
Right here
please?
on social media, it's at Demetri Panos. That's Demetri. Panos. And right here in Meet the Movie Press, also a frequent guest, LAOFCS weekly. And right now, that's where you can find me.
Scott Menzel, where can we find you?
Sure, you can find me at The Other Scott M on Twitter and Instagram. We Live Entertainment. And, of course, over, as Demetri pointed out, LAOFCS Weekly.
And my name is Simon Thompson. You can find me at Showbiz Simon on Instagram and Twitter. And if you'd like to follow this show on social media,
That's
you
right.
can at Meet Movie Press. At Meet Movie Press. You're more than welcome to do that. We'll interact with you through the week. That's great.
And we are all members, too. Of
We are all
LAOFCS.
members of LAOFCS, and there's
Very
two
proud.
BFCAs, and there's one BAFTA. So 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Which is great. So yeah, let's talk about some trailers that dropped this week. There are a couple of ones that really got quite a lot of media. Let's talk about the one that came out most recently, Onward, which is the new Disney Pixar movie. I only got to watch that this morning because I was very busy yesterday. So yeah, Onward. Interesting. I am not entirely
Me neither.
excited by that. I know a couple of people have been pretty happy. Dimitri, you're
I
a
enjoyed
fan
it.
of it.
I
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah, I did. I thought it caught that. It caught that whimsical thing that Pixar is able to do, and for me, it looked. I'm looking forward to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I liked it.
It just it's weird. I know it's not a direct comparison, but it almost feels like it wants to be like a How to Train Your Dragon type, like
Yeah.
the way that the characters and just like the tone of it. I'm also a little concerned. I'm not gonna lie, because even though I'm wearing my shirt, You know, it makes me a little cautious or nervous about Toy Story 4 that they're putting out the trailer for this before that movie comes out. Because usually their big draw is like, hey, we're going to have a sneak peek for our new movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's something about
Toy Story 4 is coming out soon.
Right.
Yeah, it's
June
like
21st.
middle of June. Yeah.
But I don't know. But this trailer, I watched it. I mean, I was just kind of like, okay. It looks very generic.
It felt to me like some of those movies that are meant to look a little bit like a Disney Pixar movie. Do you know the ones that are like made in Latvia?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not called Up, it's called Pep.
Yeah.
It's not called Inside Out, it's called Outside In. Yes, it's very different. But yeah, I just, and it felt a little bit like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes, Queen.
Yes.
But
That's
yeah, I'm just,
insulting.
I don't know. It's not quite sitting there for me. But I mean, you know, the first trailer, so we'll see what happens. Also out this week, Goldfinch, Ansel Elgort.
Yes.
This film, seriously, I think just from this trailer, potentially big awards courting movie.
I'm not. You know, it's funny. I think it's going to be Tom Hanks this year for award season for playing Mr. Rogers, and then it's going to be all these young people right underneath him. It's going to be him, Taryn. You know, oh my God, it's going to be so funny. Ansel, I think, is going to get nominated for this. Just look at the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie that deals and copes with loss. I caught that from the trailer. It seems very heavy, but there seem to be other elements in there as well. I never read the book, so I don't truly know what the story is about. And I thought the trailer was perfect because it didn't tell too much.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which is nice.
No, I just wanted to say real quick, this is also very smart because they're doing this around the same time as Star is Born last year.
Yes.
In terms of the release day and everything. So you can tell it's going to be primed to go at either Venice, Toronto, Telluride, one of the festivals.
Right.
So this is going to be their big push out the door.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good timing.
London Film Festival, I would say. I think it'd be London Film Festival.
You think so?
Programming, I think so. With its timing and everything else, I think will be a really big one. People in the chat talking about this. We're going to get to the final trailer that I want to discuss this week. Freeze Willie. I love the LAOFCS. Great job, guys and gals. Animation dude, I like it, but seeing a lot of shade saying it looks like DreamWorks or Sony Animation. This is talking about Onward. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm getting at. Really, it does feel that it's almost aping the derivative stuff. Camo Egan, Chris Pratt's tweets about the movie were adorable, as is he. Animation dude, is it a PG bright? Bright. Xeno Hour, I don't know. I think Indy should rest. Harrison Ford is the only one who could play the character. That's from earlier. Jenna James laughing at me. That's fine. Usually when women laugh at me, I'm naked. Animation dude, complete with fantastical creatures being treated as pests in a modern context? Question mark. Onward looks interesting, saying Xeno Hour. Ricky Davila saying, I could go either way. Huge awards contender or a dud in the awards season. This is talking about Goldfinch. It looks like it could be another Boy Erased. Great film and deserving of many awards.
Yes.
But nothing came when it was actual awards time.
True
Absolutely,
story.
That is true. And to be honest with you, Boy Erased was one of my favorite movies of last year. I was very surprised that it really dodged the awards the awards spotlight, which was quite strange. A Freeze Willie saying they should make it so they have another character that takes on the mantle of Indy, going back to Indiana Jones. And Popcorn Talk. This is Jeff in the booth today. Goldfinch book is wonderful. One of those rare stories with critical commercial crossover appeal like A Star is Born. The book won the Pulitzer and was a bestseller, which never happens. Absolutely. Animation dude, another awards bait movie about a white man, complete with Nicole Kidman playing his mom.
Wow.
I mean,
You talk about Destroyer? No, I'm just kidding.
He is a white man, and Nicole Kidman does play his mom. I think that's slightly unfair. Slightly unfair. Because, Jenna James, they're laughing at animation dude. I mean, I get what you're getting at, but I think that's a little bit harsh there.
That's harsh.
Okay, let's talk about the other trailer that came out this week. Rambo: Last Blood. Now, randomly this week, I picked something to watch because I wanted to just relax before I went to bed. So I stuck on Rambo 3, which is always nice to watch before bed.
Oh, that's a good relaxing movie.
Yeah, I thought so. I recently watched the other two, and I thought, while I've got an hour and a half, I'll just stick Rambo 3 on. and then the trailer dropped like the next day. I wasn't aware of that was going to be happening.
Yeah.
I love Rambo as a character, and even I think Rambo 3 is one of the most fucking ridiculous movies in that
Oh
franchise.
my god, he's on the wrong side.
It's
number
just
one.
crazy. But Rambo Last Blood, do you know what? I can't deny I'm going to go and see this movie, and I'm really looking forward to it, but
No.
I don't know about this one.
It's
Yeah.
the voiceover.
It's the
It also just
voiceover,
feels like a
and it's-
vigilante movie
Yeah.
rather than a Rambo movie. Do you know
And-
what I mean?
It's the tagline, like they drew first blood, he'll draw last blood, and it's like, really? Okay. It seems like it's made for an epics or a TV movie or an old Golan and Globus canon kind of a movie. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like what
love.
we're used for,
Yeah.
and I think this was the story that he originally wanted to be what became Rambo. But yeah, I thought the trailer. I'll be there. I'll see it.
Yeah.
I've seen them all.
Yeah. No,
all
I
I'll
liked
be there.
Rambo too.
I like
I
Rambo.
thought-
Great character.
Well, the movie. I like the movie Rambo that came out.
Well, my wife had never seen a Rambo movie, and she came into the lounge where I was watching it. She went, "Oh, is that a Rambo or a Rocky?" I went, "It's a Rambo," and she kind of never seen, but she knew about Rambo, you know, and it's quite interesting. And I was like, they're not too different. I mean, obviously the backstory is different, but they're basically guys who kick the shit out of people and fight.
But job parking cars.
But Freeze Willy going back to Ansel Elgort. Ansel Elgort's stock is rising. I'm glad you wrote stock. He could become a very good actor. He has West Side Story remake coming
He
up
could
as well. He
become a
does.
very good actor. He's a great
He's a
actor.
great
I
actor
think he's
right
a
now.
really good
actor.
He's a really great actor. I've never seen anything bad with him in. Okay, so Rambo Last Blood. Okay, I mean, we're going to see it, but I'm not really expecting much from that. We've got 20 minutes left on the show. A couple of other news things I want to touch on, and then we're going to talk about the movies that are coming out this week, and we're going to look at the box office as well. Taika Waititi's Akira film riding into theaters in 2021. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, this is a project that has been around for the longest time. When I used to do a TV show for Channel 5 in the UK, then it was like there was talk of Akira, and then it was like maybe Kristen Stewart's going to play Akira. And that caused outrage. Yes. And now it's like, maybe Zac Efron's going to play Akira. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think Zac Efron's going to play Akira. Knowing people attached to this project, I don't think that's something that is going to be happening anytime soon. I'll be very surprised, and it would certainly be a U-turn, but no. But yeah, I mean, I like Akira, the anime original. I just can't get excited about this.
Either.
Never have been.
And I mean, they were talking about Jordan Peele doing it after Get Out, and then he's got stuck with it now. And I mean, I feel like this is a risky project to take on, especially the Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
like how much backlash there was for that movie, and that movie was very mediocre in my opinion. But I feel like this is a very risky move for him, and he's not well enough established with a mainstream audience to do this. I feel like
it's hard to do an anime movie, period.
Yeah.
I actually, when I heard the news though that he was going to do it, when you look at a Ragnarok, I was like, okay. You know, I
don't doubt that Taika Waititi can give it a really good go. It's just a movie that I'm not excited at. And if I start to see footage from it, and I'm very open to having my opinion changed on this, but it's just not a brand that I'm getting that sort of, worked up about. It's weird. This week, Disney and Warner Media may pull production out of Georgia if these abortion law passes. Obviously, there's a lot of debate in Hollywood around, obviously, this legislation where people are trying to outlaw. It's the pro-lifers lobbying to get really strict abortion laws, or stricter. I mean, it's not exactly the handing them out like candy, but stricter abortion laws and no abortions at all in some states. Obviously, Georgia is a state that in the last couple of years has had a lot of really big media companies moving their productions there because of the tax benefits, and a lot of these people are also saying, and also the skills base, which is very strong in Atlanta, but a lot of companies are now saying, if we feel that we can't, we don't agree with this legislation and it restricts the choice of people that are going to be crewing for us, we can't come here and do this. I understand the argument where people are like, well, that also hurts people who live in these states who don't agree with this legislation because it means they're out of work. But also, if you don't agree with something on principle, you have to take a stand, whichever side of the aisle you're on, I think.
Here's a big question. What's going to happen to Tyler Perry? I mean, he has so much land there. Yeah. And I mean, it's obviously he doesn't believe in this. No. But at the same time, he built so much of his studio there.
Well, he's from there.
And he's from there. Yeah. You know, like, how's that going to affect him? And I mean, that's someone who actually put money into the state to build a whole bunch of land. He films almost all their TV shows, all the movies there. You know, and I feel like this is always a wonky thing because I know, like, you know, on one side of the equation, people who are taking this stand against, you know, the government and whatnot, they're doing the right thing. But at the other time, they're hurting the people who are just, they have to live there, or that's where they, you know, where they go for work, or the people who've already invested millions of dollars into studios like Tyler Perry has. So it's a really, like, it's like this. You got to constantly do that. I don't know.
And you didn't mention the other really big studio that said they would pull out is Netflix.
Yeah.
Right.
They were like actually like the first studio to say.
They really took a very clear stand.
You know, we're going to take a stand. And a lot of their shows, I'm sure, are done in Georgia.
Yes.
You know, it is. You're right. It's always the person. It's the worker bees who are who will
get screwed.
Yeah. Because they will lose work. And for those people who may have moved to Georgia because there was steady film work or TV work, you know, Tyler Perry, you're correct, but, you know, he's from there.
Right.
So whether he agrees or not, it will be interesting to see what he does. But this isn't just happening in Georgia now.
This is happening in a lot of states.
This is happening in a lot of states. This was big news that really wasn't talked a lot about. But it was there. So we're living in just crazy times right now.
I think that's a very good way of putting it. Yes. No, I mean, but I think, you know, all these companies, they absolutely have a right to take, as everybody does as consumers, you have your right to make the choices of where you spend your money and where you start a business. So I think, you know, I think these people, I mean, personally, from my own political beliefs, I think they're making the right stand. I don't agree with the legislation that's being pushed for. And I'm very sorry that this affects the other people. But the people that are pushing this legislation, they don't seem to care about the people that are going to be affected by this because they're pushing this law through, which is having this knock-on effect. So I think when people say, oh, well, if you cared about the people here, you would continue to come here. You don't care about them, the effects of this, you know, outside of the core issue because you're pushing it through. So it's like, don't throw that stone when you're also, you know.
But isn't that the problem with this world in general? Like, I mean,
is.
And the political spectrum is that we can never, like, no one can kind of sit in agreement and just sit there and find a nice middle ground. Yeah. Everyone's got to be like, this is the way it should be. This is the way it should be.
But there are things in this world that you don't necessarily have to like or approve of. Right. But it doesn't affect you. But by you or me applying our own principles to it, if that opinion directly affects someone else in a negative impact, you do have to look at it and go. Sometimes it's like I look at it like the pizza analogy. It's like I don't like Hawaiian pizza. I think pineapple on pizza is a travesty. But if you like Hawaiian pizza, eat all of that you like. I'm never going to stop you having Hawaiian pizza. Right. I think it's an abomination. Right. But you can still have your great. I don't want to eat your pizza, but you tuck
by
in.
all means.
Yeah. Eat all you want.
Yeah.
Buffet that shit up. You know, and I just think it's and again, this is not just from one side. I think on both sides, I think sometimes we forget that. So sometimes shit that you don't like is gonna happen, but look at bigger picture, and I think we lose the bigger picture sometimes. Before we go on to the box office for the week, Sylvester Stallone has an idea for a new Rocky movie. He's talked Rambo 5 and also rebooting Cobra for TV. Cobra is a movie that I revisited a couple of months ago. That does not stand up well as far as Sylvester Stallone's back catalogue goes.
No.
There are many movies in
How about
Sylvester
Oscar?
Stallone's.
Does Oscar stand up?
Wait.
I like that movie. I know it's terrible, but I do like it.
It stands up better than Stopping My Mom Will Shoot.
That movie is also great.
Yo,
It's
your definition of great, my definition.
But sarcasm.
It's beautiful that we get to agree to disagree on these things. If we all agreed on the same things, it would be very boring. No, but surely, it's like, to ban the pizza.
We'll just bring it up. It's like, I'll have my anchovies, please. Thank you.
Anchovies. Om nom nom. But yeah, I mean, out of all of the movies that I think he should consider looking at, maybe developing for TV, Tango and Cash. Give me a Tango and Cash show.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a great
Give me
show.
that in my eyes right now. Seriously.
That actually would,
Yes.
from a serialized perspective,
Yeah, great.
that would be
Would work really great.
fun. Yeah.
No, it's really cool.
Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yeah, no, I think it's...
Rhinestone.
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 Yeah, but I mean,
I didn't have
there
that.
are so many movies that I think Sylvester Stallone's done that I think would really lend themselves better to
Copland
TV.
would be a great miniseries.
Copland would be
Yes.
a really good limited series.
Absolutely.
Really, really good. But I mean, a new Rocky movie. I mean, Creed, I think, was great. Creed 2 didn't do it for me as much as I had hoped, and it really didn't do the box office that I think some people were expecting it to do. It kind of came out with a whimper rather than a bang. But how would you feel if they kind of flipped it back and did another Rocky movie? Personally, as much as I love the Rocky movies,
it's
most
done.
of them, I think it's done.
I think it's
He's
done.
too old
Time has
for
passed.
that,
It's done.
you know?
I mean, as a supporting character in Creed,
Yeah.
it made 100% sense.
Yeah.
All for it. As a trainer, all for it. As another movie, the last Rocky movie was fine. It was a perfect bookend.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he ended it well. So he has to stop going back to that well.
Yeah. Film note, Jamie, Stop or My Granny Will Shoot, starring Sty Stallone and Dame Judi Dench.
There you go.
Yeah,
let's do
or
that.
Helen Mirren. Animation dude, the people in charge of Georgia politics used to be greedy enough that they would change policy if it meant loss of jobs and economic interests. Kemp and his cronies are equivalent to Christian Sharia law. Well, that is a viewpoint. But, you know, church and state, man. Church and state, keep them separate. It's really important. It's right there in the Constitution. Jenna James, Creed 2, Mr. Kugler's influence. I agree.
Yes, it did.
Freeze Willy, Tango and Cash prequel with Kurt Russell and his magnificent mullet. Actually, if there was a band who called themselves Kurt Russell and the Magnificent Mullet, I think they'd do predominantly well. Yeah, it's true. Going back to Georgia, let's move on to a king similar to how Miller has missed in Deadpool 2. Yeah, no, absolutely. On the missing the original directors, I think when you continue with something, this is talking about Creed now. I think it does have an effect. But as far as Sylvester Stallone, I think he has a wealth of things that he could pick upon rather than these. So it's quite weird that. Those are the hills that he chooses to die on. Okay, talking of dying, something I think is going to
Die at the box
office a little bit this week is Ma. Let's talk about that as the first review. We've got 10 minutes left on the show, so a little bit to get through on here. Ma, it's the latest from Blumhouse. Blumhouse Corner! Blumhouse Corner! A rare misfire from the guys at Blumhouse and all involved in this one. Simply, Ma, she's hammy and creepy, but not at all threatening. Really, I mean, when you look at characters like, say, Kathy Bates' character in Misery and other ones, she's not a menacing maternal figure in this at all for me. I thought the script was terrible. A lot of the characters are just annoying, so you wouldn't mind if they got killed. And it's just the whole movie just didn't. It had lacked suspense. It lacked any urgency. It lacked all the elements that really should have had at the core. And I thought the ending was weak. Really weak. It was really weak. And it was just such a disappointment because of all the talent involved. And I'll let you talk about the cameo appearance or the stunt casting in that, which I thought was just totally wasted. Demetri, first of all, on this.
Yeah, I mean, for me already, my rating system, it gets one finger because it made me angry.
Yeah.
And there aren't that many movies that make me angry. it was just a disappointment, as you were saying too, on both sides of the camera.
Yeah.
Front and back.
A lot of great talent involved.
That's why
Yeah.
you expect them to make a better movie. You would have hoped that they would have found a better project for her to do. And I applaud people who try to go out of their wheelhouse. I do.
Yeah.
But here, it didn't work for Blumhouse, and it didn't work for her at all.
No.
And regarding that cameo, I mean, do I want to ruin it? I mean, there's a cameo that's played by another Academy Award winning person.
Yeah, and it's pointless. Could have been played by anybody.
And it takes you out of the movie because you're going, oh my God,
fuck.
that's so and so.
Yeah.
And the person has so little to do, and the person must have lost a bet to somebody.
Yes.
Or contractually obliged to do. Like, it was just a mess of a movie.
Yeah.
You know, Demetri, you and I have talked about this a little bit more than me and Simon talked about this, but, you know, the film, to me, is just such a mess of a movie.
Yeah.
Because you have these characters where they just change on a dime. Their personalities change.
Yeah.
They're introduced this one way,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden 10 minutes goes by, and they are totally different personalities,
Yeah.
which hurts the film. But what's really the tragic nature of this film is Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like everyone was like afraid to say her name. And it's like, you know, she is such a incredible talent. And to kind of see her where I feel like almost this movie's mean-spirited and almost pokes fun at her. Like it feels mean-spirited towards Octavia in a weird way.
And she's not, she is great at many things.
Yes.
This is something that she's not good at.
No. And
It's just really disappointing.
it's really weird watching her engage, and you know, like they try to set up this thing where you're supposed to feel bad for the character, but there's not enough of it, and it just makes her come off as like this lunatic, and she's so over the top.
And it's a small town where everybody appears to know everybody's shit, but some are not the most basic stuff. And they're surprised to see each other, which doesn't work. Demetri and I were talking about this in breakfast.
Yeah, it's like
And
it's a town where everybody knows their name, but nobody knows anybody.
Right.
It's like
where nobody gives a fuck.
what it
Diddly-dee-dee-dee. Yeah, no, it's weird. We don't have long on the show, so we need to move on
All
from
right.
Ma. But you know, people saying they're going to go and see Ma this weekend. Like we always say, is even if we don't like a movie, but you want to go and see it, go and see a movie and make your own opinion.
I think it's
really
going to do
important.
okay.
I think it's going to do okay
because
too.
they marketed it. I think the marketing on it was good.
Yeah. It's up against Rocketman, which we discussed in depth last week. Someone went 15 minutes on Rocketman because Rocketman's one of the best fucking movies of the year.
Yes,
It's
That's why.
worthy
And
of 20 minutes.
Didn't interview Dexter Fletcher this week. That went live on Forbes last night, so you can check that out. I've already retweeted it on my profile on Twitter at Showbiz Simon, and you retweeted it too. And also, we have done that on the account at Meet Movie Press. So definitely go and see Rocketman. That's superb. And if you're in LA, Taron Egerton and Jamie Bell are going to be attending some Q&As at the ArcLight this weekend. So that would be awesome to see it. And
They're
actually,
so good
they're
together.
screening it in the Dome, and that's a fucking great place to see the movie. Let's talk about Godzilla, King of the Monsters very quickly. I did not. Sorry, I was bored. As spectacular and epic in scale as this is, how a movie so big and so strong on monster battles can just leave me so unmoved. The human characters are just so one tone, and the monsters are great. But I just wanted a bit more than, you know, bare bones, basic, own brand monster fights. All of the characters, all of the monsters in this offer so much more than that. I think everybody in this movie was really undersold. Guys, you take it from here.
You want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. You know, I kind of feel similar to Simon on this one. You know, thank you, WB. They invited me to the premiere of this movie, and I really went in, and I really wanted to love it. And truth be told, is from a visual standpoint, I think it's very fantastic because it's dark, it's gritty, it has a very unique tone and like structure to the way that it's being filmed. The cinematography is very special because we're so used to visual effects movies being very clean and crisp and vibrant. And this is very dark.
Very dark.
Very, very dark and rainy, but it almost captures like the monster movies, which is what I like. So it was kind of like they're in a cloud of smoke and stuff like that. So visually, I give them a lot of credit for that. And then if you're in it for the monsters, I think you're gonna love the monsters.
Yeah. It's not short on monsters.
It's not short on monsters, and the
fights.
monster stuff is awesome. But then when you take a step back and you look at the other whatever half of the movie, which is built around these characters, the only redeeming character for me was Millie Bobby Brown. But even there, I felt like it was just this kind of generic character. The thing that I was most impressed with was how much she actually looked like Vera Farmiga. Like I looked at her, I'm like, wow, they kind of look. That's good casting there. But the characters are so piss poor.
And someone said to me on Twitter, they're like, who cares about the side story? But
you have to
service
like 2 hours.
these
It's like
B-level
an hour of
stories.
that.
Yeah.
Well,
So, Demetri.
I'm opposite.
Yes.
I really had a fun time watching this movie. And I'll go this. I'll say this. If you were brought up, if you grew up watching the Toho classic monster movies, this is it. It goes beat for beat, just like that. And it has the over-the-top story or plot. Mad scientists.
Yeah.
You've got the awesomely tech planes, the ship, the black box tech, which is supposed to control the monsters. You have monsters who are duking it out, and you have Godzilla. I really had a lot of fun. They even do really great callbacks.
Yeah.
There was one in particular that when it came out, and it's a callback to the original Godzilla, a weapon. And I was like, when I heard that, I just started laughing because I was like, oh my God, they actually did that. What a great idea. And Michael Dougherty, as a director, I thought he did a fantastic job. I likened it to when Guillermo del Toro did Pacific Rim because he has so much love for these monsters, these kaiju. Well, so does Michael Dougherty. He plays them with respect. You can tell there's an adoration, the way that they were filmed. I really got into this movie. Silly plot? Yes. But the Japanese movies were silly plots and silly characters too. And it had it beat for beat. I had a really good time.
And I want to just say real quick, like you brought up Michael. I did an interview with Michael, and I mean, this man, him and O'Shea Jackson Jr. Are so passionate about Godzilla. My God, like they could not shut the up about Godzilla. Like they were just so in love with this. And I mean, like I was talking about monster movies. He was like, no. Kong was the first one, and then this one, and that. But so. Yeah, I think it's a fanboy movie. I really I know people hate that, but I really think it's a movie for the fans.
And King Kong vs. Godzilla is supposed to be the next one.
And he's written by him.
I say bring it on.
I mean, even though I'm not a big fan of this, and I didn't love the first Godzilla, I'm still up for that. I still am looking forward to seeing those guys face off. That'll be good.
I like Skull Island a lot too.
A lot of people in the chat talking about this. Is Ma worth an AMC A-list watch, or save it to see John Wick again? Personally, I would. No, I mean it's fine, but I mean I would see John Wick.
Booksmart. Go see Booksmart instead.
Go see Booksmart. Yeah, good point. Kama Egan, Ma sounds like a clusterfuck of a film. I mean, it kind of is. It's not a film, but Chernobyl is the best thing I've seen this year. Incredible viewing. Hearing a lot about that on HBO. Straight Edge Vegan Bell. On my way to Rocketman right after the show. Absolutely. It's a lot of people talking about this. A lot of people talking about Godzilla. People are a lot of people on the wall about Godzilla. Some people saying, is Ma a red box movie? It is. I wouldn't rush. Personally, I wouldn't rush out to the movie theater.
I would, because it's so epic. The fights are amazing.
No, Ma, I'm talking about.
Ma. I thought you said Godzilla.
No, it's less.
My bad.
It's if I did, then my bad. Ma is the movie that is. It's less Ma and more me. We've run out of time.
Would you say though? Go see Booksmart. If you've seen Booksmart already, use your A-list to go see Ma, because it's an A-list. It's a subscription. But see Booksmart first.
Ma is meh. Okay, guys. Okay, thank you so much. We have run out of time. Guys, who are you? Where can we find you? Demetri first, please.
At Demetri Panos is my new Twitter, and you can find me here, Popcorn Talks Meet the Movie Press, and occasionally on LAOFCS Weekly.
Scott Menzel.
Hi, you can find me, WeLiveEntertainment.com. Instagram and Twitter at @TheOtherScottM, and then of course on Meet the Movie Press and LAOFCS Weekly.
My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me at ShowbizSimon on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, it's at Meet Movie Press. You have all of our socials. That's a good thing. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show again this week. It looks like Godzilla is going to top the box office this weekend. It had previews of 6.3 million on Thursday, which is respectable, which is very respectable. So that's going to have some legs. Giant monster legs! Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you next week. I'm not here. I'm going to be in Washington, but I'll be back the week after. And I'm going to be talking the fuck out of movies. On the show next week, we're going to be talking about Dark Phoenix. Good. Have a good one, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.